When you really think about it, much of our stress, our anxiety, and even our sense of self-worth are tied to this one powerful illusion that money equals happiness. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that success is about acquisition. The better job, the bigger house, the more luxurious lifestyle, it's all painted as the path to fulfillment. Society subtly whispers into our ears that if you just earn a little more, buy a little more, then you'll finally feel complete. But the irony is, the closer we get to that dream, the further peace seems to move away. The chase never ends. Money itself is not evil, it's a tool, a means of survival and comfort. The real issue begins when that tool becomes the purpose. When the pursuit of wealth transforms into the pursuit of identity, we start to lose ourselves in the process. Psychologically, the human brain is wired for adaptation. The moment we achieve something, the sense of joy fades, and we begin craving the next goal, the next possession. It's called the hedonic treadmill, a cycle that keeps us running endlessly, yet going nowhere spiritually. We think we're advancing, but we're simply exhausting our souls, and what's tragic is that we measure our value against others' possessions. We scroll through social media, comparing our behind, the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. We see their vacations, their cars, their success, and something inside whispers, "You're behind." But behind in what? Behind in comparison to whom? The illusion is so powerful that even gratitude begins to feel like complacency. We stop noticing what we already have because we are too busy chasing what we think will finally make us happy. From a spiritual perspective, this chase is not just a distraction, it's a deception. The Quran repeatedly reminds us that wealth and children are adornments of this worldly life, temporary decorations, not the essence of life itself. They are blessings to be managed, not gods to be worshipped, yet for many the pursuit of wealth becomes a kind of worship. We give it our time, our energy, our thoughts, our emotions, even our health. The same way one prays for divine blessing, we sacrifice for financial gain. It's no wonder that despite abundance, our hearts feel empty. There is a psychological reason for this emptiness as well. When our motivation is rooted in external validation, in wanting to be seen as successful, the satisfaction it brings is fragile. It depends on others' opinions, and others' opinions are fickle. True happiness, on the other hand, comes from internal alignment, knowing that what you're doing has purpose and meaning. A person earning modestly, but with integrity and peace of heart, is infinitely richer than someone drowning in luxury, yet starved of purpose. You see, the illusion of wealth as happiness is like drinking seawater. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. You keep believing the next sip will quench you, but it never does, because wealth cannot fill a void that was never material in nature. That void is spiritual, moral, and emotional, and until it is filled with gratitude, connection, and faith, no amount of money will ever be enough. The Prophet ﷺ once said, "True richness is not having many possessions, but being content in the heart." This hadith isn't just a moral statement, it's a psychological truth. Contentment is the antidote to the disease of endless desire. When the heart stops chasing, it starts living. When you no longer define yourself by what you own, you begin to discover who you truly are. So the next time you find yourself running toward money, pause and ask, what am I really chasing? Is it comfort or validation? Is it security or ego? Because the moment you realize that the chase itself is the trap, you begin to free yourself. And freedom, not fortune, is what every soul is truly seeking. When money becomes the center of your life, it quietly replaces what was meant to be sacred. It takes the throne of your heart, and without even realizing it, you begin to serve it. You wake up thinking about it, you sleep worrying about it, and you measure your worth through it. This is not just a financial obsession, it's a form of worship. Because whatever occupies your thoughts, commands your emotions, and dictates your decisions, that is, in truth, your master. The human heart was never designed to worship wealth. It was designed to worship meaning, to seek the divine, to find purpose in service, and to live with gratitude. But when that inner compass is redirected toward material success, something breaks inside. You can feel it, that subtle emptiness that lingers even when everything seems fine on the outside. You achieve, you acquire, but deep down, you sense that something essential is missing. That something is the soul's original orientation toward its creator, replaced by an attachment to what was never meant to satisfy it. And that attachment is powerful because it disguises itself as progress. Society will applaud you for it. It will tell you that your worth is in your productivity, your possessions, your pay grade. You'll be told you're ambitious, driven, successful. But the question you must ask is, successful at what cost? Success that empties the soul is not success, it's surrender to the wrong master. Psychologically, this form of attachment creates dependency. The more you have, the more you fear losing it. You begin to guard your wealth obsessively, to compare constantly, to crave endlessly. You don't own your possessions anymore, they own you. And when something owns you, you live in fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of insignificance. That fear eats away at your peace. It's why some of the wealthiest people are often the most anxious, because their entire identity depends on maintaining an illusion of control in a world that is, by nature, uncontrollable. From a spiritual lens, this fear reveals something profound, that our hearts were meant to anchor in something permanent. Wealth is temporary, fleeting, unpredictable. It comes and it goes, but Allah, the source of all provision, is constant, eternal, unchanging. When the heart is attached to Him, peace follows, because you no longer depend on outcomes, you depend on the one who controls them. This is what separates the person who uses money as a tool from the one who becomes enslaved by it. One earns with trust in Allah, the other earns with fear of loss. There's also a moral dimension to this attachment. When people worship wealth, ethics become negotiable, integrity becomes conditional. As long as the outcome is profitable, the conscience is silenced. This is why societies collapse not from lack of money, but from the erosion of values. When material success becomes the highest good, honesty, humility, and compassion become secondary, and that's when spiritual poverty sets in, even in times of economic abundance. But there is another path, one of detachment, not denial. Islam never told us to reject wealth, it told us to control it. The Prophet ﷺ was wealthy at times, but his heart was never attached to it. He used it as a means, not an identity. That's the balance, to earn with purpose, to spend with wisdom, and to live. Yet, we've never been more restless. People are surrounded by luxuries their grandparents could never have imagined, yet their hearts remain unsatisfied. It tells us something essential. Happiness doesn't come from abundance, it comes from contentment. The Prophet ﷺ called this *, a state of inner satisfaction that has nothing to do with how much you own, and everything to do with how you perceive what you have. You can have very little, yet live as though you have everything. And you can have everything, yet live as though you have nothing. The difference isn't in the hand, it's in the heart. When a person truly believes that sustenance is decreed by Allah, that what is written for them will reach them no matter what, the endless comparison, jealousy, and anxiety begin to fade. Because suddenly, your focus shifts from what you lack to what you've been given. That is where peace begins. Psychologically, contentment is not passive acceptance. It's not about giving up ambition or becoming indifferent to progress. It's about redefining success in a world that constantly pushes us to want more. *, is the act of taking back control over your desires. It is looking at what you have and saying, this is enough for today. It's the quiet strength of a person who isn't manipulated by marketing, social pressure, or the illusion of more. Contentment is the courage to step off the treadmill and breathe. Think about it, how many people have sacrificed peace for possessions? They chase promotions, they overwork, they trade presents with their family for hours of overtime, all in the hope that one day it will finally feel like enough. But that day rarely comes, because the satisfaction that comes from things is temporary. You enjoy it briefly, then it fades, and you need more to feel the same joy. But the satisfaction that comes from gratitude that is lasting, it grows deeper with time because it's not tied to material things, it's rooted in perspective. From a spiritual point of view, contentment is the natural state of a heart connected to Allah. When you know that every blessing you have, every breath, every meal, every comfort is from Him, gratitude becomes instinctive. You stop measuring life by what's missing and start recognizing it by what's present. You stop asking, why don't I have more? And start saying, Alhamdulillah for what I do have. That shift in mindset is revolutionary. It doesn't just change how you see your life, it changes how you live it. And here's something beautiful. When you stop chasing money, money often starts to come to you, not because of some mystical attraction, but because your mind and heart become clear. You begin to make wiser choices, free from desperation or fear. You're not ruled by greed, so your decisions carry integrity. You're not obsessed with gain, so your actions align with purpose. The peace that comes from contentment gives you focus, and that focus naturally leads to success, the kind that doesn't cost your soul. It's also important to understand that contentment doesn't mean complacency. You can strive, you can build, you can dream, but do so without the poison of greed. The believer doesn't stop working, the believer simply works with balance. You can pursue excellence while being grateful for today. That's the essence of **, striving without anxiety, working without worshipping wealth, living without envy. So ask yourself, when was the last time you looked around and said, this is enough? When was the last time you felt at peace not because of something new you bought, but because you truly appreciated what you already had? That's the secret the world keeps missing. The richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. It's important to understand that Islam never told us to abandon effort. The message has never been to sit back and expect sustenance to fall from the sky. Hard work, ambition, and striving for excellence are all part of faith. But what Islam warns against is the misalignment of purpose. When your work becomes detached from your higher reason for living, when your effort becomes a race without direction. The issue is not that we are chasing success, but that many of us are chasing it without asking why **. The Prophet lived with balance. He traded, he managed, he planned, but every act of his was infused with sincerity. His goal was never accumulation, it was contribution. His effort was not driven by greed, but by service. That's what it means to align your effort with divine purpose, to work in the world but not be consumed by it. To use your energy not just to earn but to elevate. When you make intention your compass, even ordinary tasks become acts of worship. The same job, the same business, the same career, but now filled with meaning because the heart behind it is connected to Allah. When your striving is guided by divine consciousness, it transforms your relationship with money itself. You stop seeing it as the ultimate reward and start seeing it as a responsibility. You understand that wealth is a trust, a tool to build good, to support others, to uplift communities. Suddenly, the same income that once fed your ego now feeds your soul. Because the measure of your success is no longer how much you gathered, but how much you gave, how honestly you earned, and how peacefully you lived. This shift also has a profound psychological effect. When your work is tied to purpose, it protects you from burnout. People who chase money often live in cycles of exhaustion because their motivation is external: numbers, approval, status. Those things fluctuate, and so does their sense of worth. But when your work is an act of worship, every moment of effort becomes meaningful, even the struggles. The tiredness feels different when you know it's for something eternal. It gives you peace even in pressure, because your focus isn't on results, it's on sincerity. And that sincerity changes everything. You stop cutting corners, you stop comparing, you stop working from fear, and you start working from faith. You begin to trust that what is meant for you will come, and what isn't meant for you will never reach you, no matter how hard you chase. That doesn't make you passive, it makes you peaceful. Because real trust in Allah asterisk tawakkul asterisk is not about doing less. It's about doing your best and leaving the rest in His hands. There's also a deeper wisdom here. When your goals align with divine purpose, success itself begins to redefine. You stop asking, how much did I make, and start asking, who did I become? You stop chasing the kind of success that ends with death, and you start pursuing the kind that lives beyond it. The world may measure you by your achievements, but Allah measures you by your intentions. That perspective alone is liberating. It removes the constant anxiety of comparison and competition, because you're no longer running their race, you're walking your own path. So yes, strive, but strive for something that outlives you. Work, but let your work carry sincerity. Earn, but earn with humility. When you align your effort with divine purpose, every moment of your labor becomes sacred, every act of honesty becomes charity, and every success becomes a step closer to peace. That's when money returns to its rightful place, not as your master, but as your servant.